Welcome back, party people. It's your girl DJ Brickhouse from MyMp3Pool, and I am back with Mr. Sonny James.
What up?
So today we're going to talk to you about how to successfully reinvent yourself and relocate to a new market. I know sometimes when you start off as a DJ, you kind of overtake your own market and you kind of get bored and stagnant and you want to start fresh and new. And that's something that Sonny has done, maybe not for those reasons, but he has reinvented himself and relocated from Philadelphia here to LA. And why don't you tell us a little bit how you did that and some of the pros and cons?
Okay, cool. So one day I got a call from Yamin All World. Anyone who's ever gone to see Questlove play, then they probably have met or seen Yamin All World. So shout out to the Roots crew. And he called me one morning and he's like, a little birdie told me that you're thinking about moving to California. And I was confused, but I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. And he's like, all right, well, why don't we get a spot in LA? And I was like, LA? I don't know about that, bro. I got to think about it. Hung up, and I felt like that was the end of it. And then my wife was like, well, you've been talking about moving to California. And I was like, yeah, but the Bay, I wanted to go to the Bay. I always had a great time in San Francisco and Oakland and so on. So I wasn't thinking about LA. So anyway, had some conversations with her, thought about it a little bit more, and then decided to start kind of bouncing back and forth, doing sort of a bi-coastal thing. And then part of that was just for me to kind of feel out LA and see whether I liked it, you know, how my friends were getting along, basically to find out what the temperature was here DJ-wise. And, you know, the good thing is that I've been in the game so long that I know people like DJ XL and DJ Damage and, you know, Sugar Shay, and there's, you know, a bunch of people I knew who had made the move prior to me. So I was able to kind of pick their brains and see where they were at. And, you know, so, and after, I'd say about a year and a half or so of doing that, I decided to finally make the move. And part of that decision for me to move here was to like be more a part of the music industry. So, you know, a lot more than just like the club nightlife world.
Gotcha.
Because that's pretty much what I've known for most of my life, was just throwing parties, being in the club, and just being a DJ in front of audiences. But I wanted to actually like be a part of like the record business, the you know, the technology world, the hardware world. So that's when it came to like reaching out to the Seratos of the world, Pioneer, and you know, Scratch Academy, and just kind of seeing where I can fit in, like on a job level, because we all know how it feels to have the nightly DJ grind,
Yes.
to have the cell phone shoved in your face every night, to have the bachelorette yelling at you from across the room.
Yes, no phone facing the DJ, okay?
That's over with. So a lot of it for me was just sort of like kind of graduating from that, and wanting to just be a little bit more sustainable, especially like moving a whole family across the country, you know what I mean?
Gotcha. So is that what led you here to Serato?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, it definitely was a goal when I first moved here, but a lot of people ask if I actually moved here for the job. And I always say no, but in a weird way, I kind of did move here to have access to the job. But the way I actually got the job was through Jazzy Jeff does a thing yearly called the Playlist Retreat, which I've been a part of since day one. And through that retreat, there's just tons of relationships with the companies, with other DJs, with other artists, songwriters, and so on. So I was able to build an organic relationship with the guys, with the team from Serato, and as well as other companies too, but that's pretty much how we got acquainted.
Nice. So what actually do you do here?
So I do artist relations, which is an extension of marketing.
Okay.
So yeah, so our marketing team, I'm gonna say, is probably about 10 people at this point, and four of us are in the States, and I'm one of the two people who manage the West Coast artist relations team. So we basically deal with, you know, pretty much any artist that's using Serato, multiple levels, but usually kind of the higher end artists, the people like A-Track and, you know, the guys like that, Cut Chemist and the Beat Junkies and so on. And we basically just make sure that they're set up and that they have everything they need from Serato, whether that's a knowledge base, whether that's, you know, a beta that might be coming, because we'll, you know, sometimes we'll get feedback from those people and take that back to HQ, all that. We do workshops out of the studio. Yeah, we do just all kinds of things, but a lot of it is just based around our relationships with the artists.
That's awesome. So,
and I also shoot all the content on the West Coast.
Oh, great.
And edit, yeah.
Nice. And what were you doing in New Zealand?
So, so New Zealand is headquarters. So, so we just go out there yearly for strategy meetings and, just kind of team building, because we all work remotely. I'd say the company is probably 150 people worldwide. So a lot of our meetings, as you can imagine, are remote. And you're able to get a little bit more accomplished when you are face to face with people.
Awesome. So some of the pros are, getting new relationships and
Yep.
taking your career to new heights that you maybe didn't anticipate. And
Yeah.
what are some of the cons?
Some of the cons of the move.
Yeah, like trying to relocate and reinvent and starting in a new market.
Man, the thing that you have to be able to take on the chin, so to speak, is being nobody in a new market when you were somebody in the market you left from.
Gotcha.
And I've seen people deal with that in different ways.
Check your ego at the door.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I think one of the main things that I always try to remember and to tell people who are considering that is to just put your relationships first. Your relationships are paramount, basically. And especially when whether you relocate or not, this is an important tip, is to give more than you take. Because so many people will, they'll be that person. We all have that person.
Yes.
Or those people who every time your phone rings and it's them, you're like, what do they want now?
That's true.
So
Don't be one of those people.
It's not a good thing to be one of those people, for sure.
Yeah, most companies want to know like what you can do for them, not what they can do for you.
That's
so
right.
Always keep that in mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think all that was very well said, and thank you so much for giving us the tips to relocate and reinvent yourself. So network, make sure that you put your relationships first, and when the opportunity knocks, be ready, because you're going to have to open that door and you're going to have to be relentless.
And diversify your skill sets, because you can't swing a dead cat without finding a DJ, and in Philly you can't swing one without finding a good DJ. So at this point, what else do you have? Do you have edits that people want to hear? Do you have production or remixes that people want to hear? Do you have something special about your brand that makes people want to gravitate towards it?
That's funny, because I did an interview with Chris Carnes,
Yep.
and that was one of the main things that he said is make sure that you are unique, that what you bring to the table, not anybody, like other people can try to duplicate it, but people know that's your thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really some good advice.
Yeah.
So make sure that you guys are listening to all these tips, and make sure you guys are reading all the blog posts on mp3poolonline.com/blog, and we'll see you again soon. Have a great day.